Hey guys, in today's video we're going to have a model overview and some instructions for the model. So today we're going to take a look at the LMP car, and then we're going to give you some instructions for it. So the LMP car is basically it's based on real life LMP cars. This one is not based on any LMP car in particular, but this Hot Wheels car you see right here, which is lying around. I built this after watching Le Mans on the other weekend, a couple weekends ago. And I thought, oh yeah, I should try to build one of these cars. And it's sort of based on some of those cars from what I remember seeing, and it's also sort of based on this Hot Wheels car that I showed you earlier. Interestingly enough, this is the second model that I've based off of a Hot Wheels car. The first one being the combat truck, which I'll link to that video in the description if you'd like to see it. But basically, this is a LMP car that's sort of got exaggerated in all its features. It's got a bigger wing, it's got a bigger front area, it's got a bigger roof intake, it's got a massive engine. So we're going to go over all the features of it, and we're going just to talk about, we're just going to talk about them. So starting in the front here, we got plenty of lights. We got lights, these aren't necessarily oversized lights, but they do look really big anyway. And we got these massive sort of side, I'm not really sure what they're called, these side bits that come out on the sides of those are these little canard wings, which are represented by these grill tiles. And then we got this center sort of nose coming out of it. And so we got intakes on top of the fenders. We got those rear view mirrors if we go further back so you can see behind you. Now we're using this old Forested wide Speed Champions windscreen. So it's a bit more realistic because this only has to be a one-seater car. And on the sides here we got this little 1x1 plate with Nexo Knights print on it, and it looks pretty good. It makes it kind of like a racing team on there. So this car paint color scheme is kind of just from what the basically inspired from the pieces I had lying around. It's not any particular, not intended to look like any particular race car. I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, when you build it, you could swap the colors out for perhaps yellow and black. It would be a nice color scheme, gray and orange, something like that. If you keep moving further back, inside the cabin, we do not have enough, well, you can kind of squeeze a minifigure in there if you try really hard. You might be better with a minifigure with his arms off, since you can't see a minifigure very well. Or you could just try and modify the cabin yourself. And in the sides, we have these intakes on either side of the car. Basically, a whole ton of air will go in and cool down the engine. On the sides, we have some vents. We have the roof intake. Like I said, it's a massive, exaggerated one that goes straight to the engine, and then right out the back, as we'll show you in a second. So, if we keep going back, we have these sort of intake, brake cooling, tire cooling vents over the rear fenders, and then we have that engine, which is quite a simple engine model, just stored in the back there, just using some Technic plates, or some plates with Technic hinges in there. Quite a simple process to build. And we got this quite a large exhaust going out the back. Like I said, it's exaggerated. Typically LMP cars have the exhaust outlets where the engine would be on this car, or where the exposed engine would be on this car. We kind of just want to exaggerate it, make it look kind of not cartoon-like, but just really aggressive looking. Of course, these colors aren't super aggressive, but it does look pretty good. In the back, we have a large diffuser, not an overly massive or aggressive diffuser, but quite a large one anyway. We have a slightly oversized rear wing. I'm not sure if I think it looks fairly realistic in size. Perhaps it's a bit taller to match with the height of the massive air roof intake. But around the back, we have plenty of red brake lights, as you can see, and those are just really to exaggerate. So one thing about this car is it's kind of a budget car, you might say, if you were trying to build this, because it was just built with parts lying around, basically. So there's not a lot of Speed Champions parts in here. Basically, if you haven't bought any of new Speed Champion sets, new 8-stud wide ones, you can build this car because it uses the old wheels. It doesn't use any of those new chassis pieces or wheel holder pieces. It uses the old windscreen. So if you have any old Speed Champions, you only need a few parts from the old sets to build one of these cars, or build this car. So now we're going to go over give you some commentary as you're building it in the instructions to give you some tips along the way. So we're looking at the parts selection right now, and I'll show you a picture of it so you get the full idea of what parts you need. Now I'll upload a parts list to rebrickable.com, and you can get it from there if you'd like to get the buy the parts off of Bricklink. So as you can see here, we have all the parts. We have the gray parts together. Now, in the gray, light bluish gray parts, you see you have these black and dark bluish gray parts. Those ones ideally should be light bluish gray, and those trans blue ones also. Those ones should be light bluish gray, but we just had them use them in this color because they were lying around. We have the blue parts. These parts over here are the parts. This category you see towards the top of the screen is the category of parts that don't really matter what kind of part they are, as long as they're the right size. And then above that, you have the parts, it doesn't matter what color they are. looking over here, we have the old wheels, like I said, from the old Speed Champion sets, and basically, yeah, that's the general overview of the parts. So, like I said, there's a parts list in the description below if you'd like to get that. So we'll start building it now. First, we're going to work on the chassis. The camera was having some focus problems. It'll get to focus in a second. You could probably lower the side panels a little bit if you want to fit a minifigure in there properly. Of course, that would leave some holes in the side, but if you really want to fit a full minifigure in there, you probably have to lower them a little bit. Next, we work on the side skirts, or the side, I'm not entirely sure what these called, but they are the side panels, basically, or the parts that hold up the chassis on the side, hold up the body on the side. Like I said, you can probably swap some colors out with the different parts here. Ideally, these 1x6 tiles in dark bluish gray, ideally they should be in light bluish gray to match the rest of the car. Now we're going to build the control panel area in the front of the car. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Like I said, this front area doesn't really matter the color, so you can use whatever colors you like for this particular area, except for the dashboard area, which I'll see in a minute. And because this model is basically not a overly complicated interior model, there's obviously no advanced building techniques. There are a couple of gaps in the internal structure here and there. It's still a pretty strong car, but it's not this isn't like rock solid or anything like some previous models. I'll install the dashboard in the front of the car right here, so you can see everything lines up quite nicely. Now we will start on the front axle carrier, I suppose, or just axle assembly. Now these bricks don't have to have these notches in them, I just used them because they were around basically. Same goes for this brick right here. It doesn't have to be in this color, or it doesn't have to have the vent pattern in it. You can use whatever 1x2 brick you like right there. And the reason I'm not using a modern Speed Champions axle piece is 1, because it doesn't fit these wheels, and 2, because I didn't have one. So we'll attach it right there. And you can see there's that gap there between 2 plates on the chassis that we just attached, but it holds up really well without it. It doesn't really need that bit. Now we'll work on the front fender assembly, so we'll zoom out a bit so you can see it better. Now you notice there are quite a few multicolored parts under the frame of this car, because it doesn't really matter. So I guess you could make them all one color if you like. You make it all black or gray, or you could make them whatever color you like. You make them the colors of the flag of the country you're from, like some Lego designers do. I'll have to try that sometime, perhaps in one of my future models. Now these 1x3 tiles on the front of the fenders don't have to be black, they could be blue. I don't have any ones in blue because they seem to be a bit rare in my collection in blue, but if you have some blue ones, they would look pretty good right here. Now we will work on the rear axle. Now we will work on the rear section of the car. I'm not entirely sure what I should call it, but basically it's the bit that holds on the rear bumper, or the rear assembly. Now we'll attach the rear fenders. And attach some intakes to the top of those fenders. And we'll attach it to the car. This center space will mostly remain empty, but it's quite strong the way it is. So you don't really need too much in there. Also, a lot of the space is taken up by the fake engine we're going to put in there. Now we'll start working on the front area. I'm not entirely sure what it's called. Just zoom in there so you can see that's a 1x1 brick stud on one side. And lay these out. We have these 1x1 transparent plates on the ends of these front area, but you could probably replace them with 1x1s in a solid color of whatever the accent color is the car you're building. In fact, you might try building one of these cars in like with white with a red accent, or perhaps green with a black accent, or black with a yellow accents on it. You know, you could probably come up with some really cool color schemes for this car. Now we'll work on those side intake vents. I've swapped camera angles here, you'll see, because my camera went dead and I had to switch cameras. Sorry for the big pile of parts basically on the side, but because of the swapped camera angle, they kind of had to be there to get a good view of the entire area. Now we'll attach these to the car. Attach this one on this side, and the phone's or the iPhone's exposure, the iPhone I was using for the camera, the exposure seems to have gone up quite a bit, and it does come down here in a minute. You should be able to tell what's going on for now. And we'll secure these front bits. I'm still not really sure what they're called. Okay, so that aside, and next we'll work on the covers for the side intakes. And we'll attach these one by ones here, and as you can see, it doesn't matter which order they go on in, and it doesn't matter what they are. They can be round or they can be just plain plates. It doesn't really matter what order you put them in on, because they all serve the same purpose. And that's why these parts are in the category of parts that can be whatever color, because then obviously you can't see them. Then we work on these side sort of fender slope bits that kind of bring it in from the fender to the middle part of the car. And we got those nice Nexo Falcon pattern print tiles on there. Obviously you can just use normal tiles, or perhaps you could find another tile from the Nexo series in the color of the car you're building. By the way, if you do build a car, why not, you can tag me on Instagram, share a picture. There's a link to my Instagram in the description below, and you can see updates on all my new models there first before I share them on YouTube. Next we'll connect these intake cover bits right here. Now this 1x8 plate was in the category of parts that doesn't really matter. As long as they serve the same purpose, it's okay. So yeah, I'm using one with holes in it, but yours doesn't have to have any holes in it. Then we'll attach the diffuser, and you can probably make yours a bit more aggressive by using more 1x1 panel corner pieces here, but because I just happen to have 4 of them and one of these 1x4 black panels, I just use them in this configuration. And these 1x1 slopes of the lights are at the trans blue color. You don't have to use them in trans blue. Trans blue is kind of a nice accent color, but you can use whatever color you prefer, preferably light bluish gray to match the rest of the car, or you just use solid blue to match the accent color of the car. This center panel could probably be light bluish gray also, if you prefer. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be. You could probably use it in black or dark bluish gray, kind of a mechanical color. Attach your rear tail lights, and you can attach this entire assembly to the rear of the car. Now we work on the exhaust system, and like I said, this is kind of exaggerated, so we use these bricks with some sort of detailing in them, and we'll attach these Technic connector exhaust tips on there. And LEGO Speed Champion series has been using these exhaust tips quite a bit, and although they are quite oversized, they look pretty awesome. And so we'll attach these 4 on there. Typically, like I said, these LMP cars don't have the exhaust sticking out the back, as far as I know, but we're kind of putting this one there just to give it way more aggressive and just kind of just really loud, crazy exhaust look to it. Now we will work on the fake engine, so I have this Technic brick right here. Add some Technic pins into it. And then we will add these parts. I'm not entirely sure what these are called, but they're modified plates, some sort of, with the Technic pin connectors in them. And we'll attach 2 more Technic pins in there, and 2 more of these modified plates. And we'll attach these grills. And you can probably use 1x1 round tiles, because those also look quite good. They look kind of like intakes, but we didn't happen to have any of those on hand, so we are using these grill tiles instead. Then basically you can angle these so they're completely upright like that, and then slide it right in. And you can grab the one closer to the Technic brick and kind of angle them inward. You want to do it so that way they're not too far in. So you can just the bottom of the grill tile kind of lines up with the 1x8 tile on the side of the car. And this bit basically supports the roof intake. Quite a simple assembly. we're gonna build the rear wing. We have these studs not on top plates right here, and all the lights are horizontal on this car, while typically I think they're vertical on the modern LMP cars. These ones basically, they look pretty good. I mean, obviously they do take up some space behind the spoiler. That could probably be aerodynamic loss. They look pretty good. Although I'm not, this is like I should have mentioned, this isn't particularly LMP1 or LMP2 car. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is, and I'm not entirely sure the differences in the looks of them either. So we're just going with this design I came up with. Perhaps it looks more like one than the other, but which one it does, I'm not entirely sure. Now this front bit is the nose, so we're using a lot of slopes and angled plates to give it quite an angled look, as you can tell. And we'll use this Nexo Night shield piece on there. Perhaps if we add some trans neon orange accents to this car, make it look like a Nexo Nights LMP1 car, which would be pretty cool. Okay, now we have some 1x1 tiles, and as you can see, it doesn't really matter what color these are. We're just using some different colors right here, and stack them up. And now we will add these cheese grater slopes. I think I've heard people call them cheese grater slopes before. So add those on there. Like I said, this is probably the most complicated part of this entire car, because yeah, it's quite a simple car. Like I said, it's kind of built in just 2 days or something. We didn't bother putting a lot of work into this model, because it was just something fun to build to see if we try to create an LMP car. So now we have these plates on there on the front, and this assembly will become the lights of the front lights of the car. Got some transparent 1x1 slopes protecting the to the front. And we will connect these to the car. Then we can attach these grille tiles to form those front winglets or canards. Then we'll attach the windshield, and you could probably leave your windshield like this and add some cover over the engine. You could make quite a nice looking car. But I like these big oversized roof intakes on top. This piece might be a bit rare, these slopes that come over the back. I do believe they exist in quite a few different colors, so like I said, you can come up with some really cool colors for this car. Attach the wheel on there, and I haven't bothered to put all the different parts of the wheel together. Basically, you just got the old Speed Champions wheel with a tire and a rim, and it looks pretty good. Typically, I don't use silver wheels in my cars, but this one matches pretty well, and we're done. So, thanks for watching today's video. So, like I said, you can check my Instagram at link in the description. You can follow me there, and you can get updates on all our Lego models that I'm working on before they come out on YouTube. And you can also, link in the description is Rebrickable, where you can see the parts list for this model and get instructions for many of my other models. You can subscribe to get notified, because we got some really cool models coming out in the future. And give a video a like, and we'll see you next time.